All right, welcome everyone to All Women Driven, the podcast all about women in automotive and how they got to where they are today. I am your host, Sarah Davis. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, or Spotify under All Women Driven, or you can find me on YouTube and Facebook under Beauty Mama Bear. You can also find me on the Law MacArthur channel. I'm over there on Tuesday nights on the live stream. I occasionally feature in a short or other content, sometimes over there as well. Don't forget to like and share where you're listening. That's the easiest and best way to support this channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you are on YouTube. If you like my channel, you should also check out the Law MacArthur channel. It's all about Ford news information. We go over a lot over there, all about the Ford models and vehicles. You should also check out the Ford Video Guide channel where Tim talks all about his Bronco and what he's done to it lately. There's also the Ragnacon's channel, All Terrain Nation, and many more wonderful channels to watch if you go down below in my description. I do have merch, so go check that out if you would like some all women driven shirts or sweatshirts or anything like that. So that link is also down below. But speaking of All Terrain Nation, let's get into our guest for this week. We have Jess from Unbridled Bronco, but you get featured on All Terrain Nation as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, a little bit. I help Dave and Kelly there at the channel, All Terrain Nation, myself and my boyfriend Mark. Help a lot more on the ATN off-road side because that's kind of our area of, I don't know if it's expertise, but what we prefer. So yeah, we enjoy being on ATN and doing content and some reporting for that channel.
Okay. So what do you do in automotive?
I drive my Bronco.
That's the best thing to do.
That's pretty much it. Everybody know the Bronco came back a couple years ago, and I had always wanted one since I was a kid and didn't think it would ever happen. So when they announced that the Bronco was coming back, it was all over it. Absolutely. So, my story, I think, in getting my Bronco is similar than to a lot of other people. First day reservation holder, put my order in as soon as I could, all that stuff. Ended up 658 days after my reservation placed. I got my 22 Wildtrak in carbonized gray on May 3rd of 22. And that kind of started me into being a car girl. I didn't think I ever was, but the Bronco really made that happen for me.
Yeah. So you say you didn't think that you were a car girl, but you were looking at Bronco before it came back out. And I have a similar type of thing where I didn't think I was a car girl. I didn't think I would go into automotive. I actually was going to go into athletic training, chiropractics, or working with children of some sort. But looking into my past, it's always been there in the little back of what was going on in my brain. Going, ooh, I like that car. Ooh, that's amazing. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Only for the flying car.
That's awesome.
So like in the back of my mind, I've always been a car girly. Just wasn't as pronounced. But you knew about Bronco before it came back. So how do you know about Bronco?
So I have been a Ford girl since my very first car. I got my first car in 1996, and it was a 1978 Ford LTD. If you know anything about what that is, that car is longer than anything anybody's seen ever. It's longer than a full-size, like old school conversion van. And it was a great car to grow up in, driving in the snow in Michigan because it was a tank. It was super safe. So I've always had Ford vehicles. My dad retired from Ford Motor Company, so our house kind of, bled blue. He worked on the line. He built transmissions for 35 some odd years. So yeah, Ford has kind of always been on my radar. And the Bronco 2 was pretty popular when I was in high school. A couple of my friends had one, so when they came back around, I was like, "Oh, I need one of those." And of course, I high school was the OJ thing for us. I remember sitting in English class watching the trial. So, seeing those full-size Broncos and all that other stuff, I was like, "Oh yeah, I want one of those. That sounds cool." Especially with all the the adventure that goes around with it. Um,
Mhm.
and that's kind of exactly what I've done with my Bronco.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
what do you do for day-to-day work?
In my real life, I work in international logistics. So I
Okay.
ship stuff all over the world. I'm a licensed customs broker. So all that tariff talk we hear in the news every day, that's my life.
Okay.
I work for an importer now. I used to actually be on another side of the fence and work for a freight company and a customs broker and do all that stuff. But now I work directly for an importer. But yeah, following the tariffs, moving ocean containers, handling air freight. I ship stuff all day long.
That is awesome. Uh, that's almost a hidden little job that you don't think about
Yep.
when it comes to all of that logistics and everything. Because most people are like, oh, shipping, yeah, it's the truck drivers, the crane movers, and all of that, the ship people on the ship. You kind of think of those front facing jobs, but you don't think
Mhm.
about the back. So that is
Yeah,
awesome.
it's a great industry to be in. It's never going to go away. I don't think we'll see teleportation in our lifetime. So, we're always going to have to move goods across the country, across the world. I've been doing this now for more than half my life. 20 next year will be my 26th year in the business. And so, and yeah, it's definitely like you said, it's one of those jobs that's behind the scenes. Nobody really thinks about. And when my job is in the news, like, I know things aren't going well. But, hopefully, we're figuring out all the tariff stuff and what's going on and how it's affecting our day to day for my company, and, it's definitely been a busy year so far.
Yeah, I imagine so. So my next question is, what your family has been in automotive. So your dad was with Ford.
Mhm.
Any other automotive history in the family?
Um, my grandfather, I think, worked for Ford and GM at one point, but that wasn't his career. He was a master pattern maker, and yeah, it's one of those other jobs you don't really think about. But once he retired from that, he was a woodworker. Like, he started a whole business, him and my grandmother, and they made finished wood furniture. And so I also love building stuff. I don't get to do it as often as I want, but
Yeah.
yeah, I did not too much car history besides just driving cars and, my dad building them. So,
Yeah. So did you guys always have a Ford? Because I know Kelly mentioned her family was in
mhm.
automotive in the factory, so they always drove what they were building. So did you guys always have Fords then?
Always. Like, I remember growing up, my mom she always bought used cars. She never bought new cars. I don't know if that was, a financial decision, or, I think they had this theory that you had to work the bugs out. So you wanted to be the second owner, which, we've seen that in Bronco too. But,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was always my mom forever drove either a Ford Taurus or a Mercury Sable, like,
Okay.
switched them across. She had a Ranger for a while. My dad was always in an F-150 and also a Ranger. After my LTD, I had a Ford Aspire, which is it's crazy. Like, an LTD, this humongous, right? An
Yeah.
Aspire is about this big.
Right.
I called it my roller skate car. Um, and I also tell people that Aspire is the only foreign car I ever owned, because even though it said Ford on the front, that car was wholly made by Kia Motors in the mid 90s. So before Kia was established here in the
Yeah.
States. Yeah, from there, I went to an Escape, two Explorers,
What year?
and what year Escape? I
Hmm.
had a 2001 Escape.
Okay.
Um, then I went to a 13 Explorer and then a 21 Explorer while I waited for my Bronco.
Yeah.
And then a 22 Bronco, and now I'm on my second Bronco with my 24 Wildtrak.
Awesome. Yeah. So I Escape. My favorite. I had a 2012
Hmm.
that I ended up totaling.
Oh no!
After having it for less than a year,
Oh,
because we had a '96 Camry that my dad had purchased, and he was like, "Okay, so you're gonna drive this. This is your little to and from school, learner car. It's perfect. '96 Camry, nice and sturdy. This is the high school car."
right.
And so then when it was time to go to college, they're like, "Okay, so we want you to have a vehicle, but the Camry is not an out of town vehicle. You don't take this on the highway." I was planning to be 2 hours away in Emporia. They're like, "Can't do it." So they put me in a 2012 Escape, and I totaled it coming back from spring break,
Oh,
or coming back to town for spring
mhm.
break, and it just ruined the week.
Oh, I'm sure.
That was the perfect. I called it my blueberry. It was the blue, pretty
Yeah.
blue Escape from 2012, the boxy style,
Yep.
and I regret that wreck ever since because that's my favorite car to date.
Yeah. And now
So
the Escapes are, they're like little station wagons. It's not the same.
I
That's actually why I ended up moving into an Explorer. I needed a bigger car for what my life. Side note, I did triathlons for a long time,
awesome.
triathlons and distance swimming, and I ended
Okay.
up just like I was doing training and working out and had all this gear and my bike all the time. So once I drove my Escape pretty much into the ground, I had 180,000 miles on that thing, and it
Yeah.
was the best. The first brand new car I ever had. It was great. Then I upgraded to the Explorer. When those were still a little beefier too,
Yeah.
in 13 to haul all my gear all over the place.
Yeah. So what was your mile time when you
Oh
swam?
no, mm-mm. I'm not fast.
So I swam competitively,
So
and
did I.
I did breaststroke. Breaststroke was my jam.
Mhm.
That's what I did until high school. They put me in the IM, and I butterfly, and I do not coexist easily. I throw my shoulder out every time I swim it. Had to get taped up, all the things, and so I was like, I'm not swimming this anymore. I'm not
We'd
going to
be a
swim.
great team because I can't do breaststroke at all. And I swam butterfly and backstroke. And then my last 2 years of high school, they put me in distance and I swam the 500.
That's what I
Um,
did.
yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm done with the IM after sophomore year. I'm no longer doing. They're like, then you're going to do the 500, and I'm like, awesome.
Yeah, you get a
Awesome.
lot of time to
Great.
think in the water during, it's a, 5 to 7 minute race, depending on how fast you are, but you're just like, I just keep flip turning. Is it over yet?
Yeah. Did you ever figure out how to do the oh, it's a weird flip turn going from butterfly to back on the IM. So instead
Um,
of
yeah,
flipping, or maybe it's back to breast.
it's
So
back to breast. Yeah.
yeah, where you don't turn onto your stomach to flip turn, you stay on your back and barely miss the
Mhm.
wall of flip turn.
Yeah.
I got that down. By sophomore
Awesome.
year, I had that down, and they're like, my coach was like, I haven't seen anyone do that. I
Oh,
was
it's such a
like,
good time though. Like
it
it's
was.
a great, and you just kind of feel a little awesome after you do it. And you're like, yeah, okay, I got this.
Yeah. Like I'm not like barely missing that wall and just feet overhead. You're just going for it, and then you're off. Like you feel amazing.
Yeah. So I swam competitively from the age of 6 till all through high school till 18. And I wasn't fast and I wasn't awesome. I coached the summer swim league and did all that stuff. And then I took 14 years off. After I graduated high school, I never got back in the water. I didn't do any kind of
Yeah.
fitness. I ended up, oddly enough, my fitness journey started. A neighbor and I used to watch a TV show on Sunday nights. So we decided instead of sitting on the couch and watching TV and having snacks, we'd start walking. And we walked the neighborhood, and then, we walked a little further, and then we found out the Rock and Roll Marathon series was coming to Savannah. I used to live just outside of Savannah. We're like, why
Okay.
don't we try to do a half marathon?
Yeah.
13.1 miles. And we're not running, we're not strolling, we're definitely walking fast. But yeah, I did my first half marathon. And the Monday after that, I got back in the pool with some other friends who were doing triathlons, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And then I spent 3 or 4 years doing triathlons,
Okay.
local races, and kind of a couple places all over the country. I did one half Ironman in Miami 11, 12 years ago. So, I've crossed the finish line. That's all
Yeah.
that matters. I came in like, in the time and made it. And it's one of those accomplishments that it's just like, yeah, I did that.
Right. So I stopped swimming. I swam from middle school through high school, and I stopped my senior year. So my coach during junior year, before junior year, I went and did a KU swim camp where I got to be coached by the coach for the KU swim team.
Awesome.
And I was like, this is amazing. I absolutely love this. They were teaching me new things. And they're like, we have a JV team that you can walk on, be a part of the team. And then maybe you can make it to our varsity team and get a scholarship. And I told my coach, I was like, I'm going to be on the KU swim team. And I'm going to walk on at first and be in part of JV, but I'm going to make it to varsity and get a scholarship. And she looked at me and said, you will never be on that team.
Oh, no.
I was like, at that point, we were mid-season, so it was kind of, I wasn't going to drop out because I'm not that type of person. If I'm in it, I'm in it.
Yeah.
But the next year, I remember they were having their swim meeting, and I walked through the cafeteria by accident. They were having their swim meeting because I had been ignoring all the news information, the text, everything. Because I'm like, I'm not going to do this for you. I'm not going to put my body through the intensity that I have done the past 3 years for you when you won't believe in me. So I walked through the cafeteria by accident. They're like, Sarah, we're over here. You're late. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, we're starting the season. I'm like, I'm not joining. I'm like, what? Like, I'm not swimming for you. I'm taking this year easy because I actually have horrible allergies. And so the springtime is horrible for me. So I would always get sick. I would run my body ragged, going to swim events, band events, doing this or that, and just running my body ragged to the point where if I got sick, I did not recover for 2 or more weeks.
Oh.
And it kept me from getting to state. Like my junior year, I was so close to state, and I got sick.
Aww.
And she said, if you want to compete in a race, in a meet, you have to come to every swim or to every practice before it. So if you're sick, you can't take a day off. You can't take a day off. And so I was like, nope, I'm not putting my body through that this year. I'm going to take a relaxing year. I actually went to Emporia for horn and took a scholarship for band instead. But I'm like, I'm not doing that for you. I'm not.
Yeah. That's so unfortunate.
Like, so why would I do this for you? And come to find out, my best friend's getting married to a guy, and she's part of the family friend group.
Oh, the paths that cross.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, but she would have us do no breathers, and I have asthma, and she would have us doing no breathers, and I would get to the end, and the whole team, because it was a team no breather, the whole team didn't make it in one breath, you started over, and I would get to the end of the pool and try and make it, get one arm's length away, and just have to, like, my lungs are like killing me, and I would pop my head up like before my hand would touch, and she's like, everyone has to do it again while I'm in the middle of an asthma attack, and she wouldn't let anyone bring me my inhaler. Like, that's
wild.
It's wild.
Wow.
I haven't swam since. It's been 10 years, but we're getting back and working out. So similar story. I haven't worked out since high school. Getting back into it.
Yeah. So. It's funny because the triathlon thing for me, in swimming. After I stopped doing triathlons, there was an unfortunate incident in our community. I lived in Hilton Head, South Carolina for a long time, doing, triathlons and all that stuff down there. And one of the gentlemen in our cycling community was hit by a drunk driver on his bike, and killed. I never got back on my bike after that. I was like, there's no way. I have a Peloton now, so I'm super safe and, there's no cars there, but it really impacted me. So I moved from doing triathlons to doing, marathon swimming and distance swimming. Which there's a lot of those options when you live on the East Coast. Done a handful of swims, and the hard part for me is that I'm not fast. I can swim all day, but I'm not speedy. So I've had a handful of really awesome swims, and a handful that weren't that great. So we swim the Cooper River in Charleston. It's a mile and a half, no, 2.5 mile. I don't remember. That's a great swim. It's downstream, which is super awesome. And I've swam the Chesapeake Bay, which is 4.5 miles. I didn't make that one. I would have. But because it's such a huge shipping lane, to bring my life all together, the time cuts are really serious. And the Coast Guard, like if you haven't made it that far, by the time cuts, the Coast Guard will pull you out. So I might have been, 50 yards from the 3-mile buoy. And they were like, nope, you're out. So, I mean, I got to swim almost 3 miles and I got a boat ride that day. So it was pretty great.
That's awesome.
So friends of mine did great. And a couple years ago, I swam Alcatraz.
Oh, wow.
That was kind of a bucket list for me. And I was like so overwhelmed with how awesome it was and how excited I was about it that I also didn't make that one. The cool thing about Alcatraz is, I knew I wasn't there to win. Like it wasn't going to happen. I was there for the experience. And I'm like in the water, like the Golden Gate Bridge, and Alcatraz is there and all swimming around, like so excited. But they'll pick you up and move you ahead so you can actually swim the finish. You don't get a medal. It's still a do not finish. You're not winning anything. But I was so excited to have that experience and be like, yeah, I swam Alcatraz. I jumped off a huge boat in the San Francisco Bay and swam into shore. It was awesome.
That is one thing that I have wanted to do, is swim that. That was a high school dream of mine. So I'm actually trying to find a swimsuit so I can get back in the water. So we'll see.
Do it, girl. Let's do it. I actually just kind of made a decision the other day. I'm going to try to do another half marathon. I've done 12 in like a handful of years, and I haven't done one for a long time. I'm super out of shape and not ready for any of that. But I'm like, you know what? I can make this happen. So yeah, I'll get back on my feet. You get back on the pool. Let's do it.
Yes, love it. So bringing us back to automotive.
Yeah, all right.
So Bronco is a wonderful community. So you've kind of gotten into that. So was it hard to get into the Bronco community and kind of just get started coming into it?
When I first got my Bronco, I was like, okay, I have this machine now. What am I going to do with it? And honestly, as cliche as it sounds, social media, between Instagram and Facebook, like I've gained friends across the country and the world sort of because of my vehicle. And so, I made an Instagram account for my Bronco. That's where Unbridled Bronco came from. Just pretty much so I could post pictures and not annoy my friends and family on my personal Facebook page, because I'm like, I want to take pictures of my Bronco. Which connected me to all sorts of people locally. I was living in Kentucky at the time. That's where the Unbridled sort of came from. Unbridled spirit is the state motto of Kentucky, and unbridled being a horse thing, because Kentucky horses, all that stuff. And it kind of worked perfect. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm a little unbridled sometimes. So yeah, between Instagram, just following and finding other people, and Facebook, one of the first groups I found was what do they call it? It was like a tri-state Broncos. It's called Southern Indiana Off-road now. I don't It's run by Bill Brandt, Evil Truck. People might know. He's the first person I off-roaded with. Met him up in Indiana, like an hour or so away from where I was at a little off-road park up there, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna do this. Had no idea what I was doing. From there I had hooked up with the Central Kentucky Bronco Group out of Lexington, John Carson and Eric Taylor, Trail Hunter USA. And those guys, I tell people all the time, like those three guys taught me how to off-road. John and Eric are like my Bronco dads.
Yeah.
I always feel safe. They've taught me so many things, like how not to use your goat modes, what your buttons actually do, how the mechanics work in the vehicle, and what's happening when you use those buttons. Driving a manual on the trails, like that's stuff that you don't really learn unless someone teaches you. There might be a book, I don't know, but yeah.
Have you
So
been to
finding
an
those
off-rodeo?
guys. What was that?
Have you been to an off-rodeo?
Yes, absolutely. I went to October 22, I think it was. Yes, it was Ladies' Day out in Nevada. So I went out there and did off rodeo. It was great. It was such a great experience. At that point I had been off-roading a couple times, but I relatively kind of knew what my Bronco did, but I still learned so much, like, what else you could do with that, and the trail buttons and all the other things that are on the Bronco. And it was awesome because they had women representative from Ford Motor Company there to talk to the Bronco owners and the ladies that came out for Ladies' Day.
That's awesome. So I interrupted you with your guys. So you found a welcoming community to come into that was teaching you, kind of mentoring you through off-roading, because it is a crazy world, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can mess up majorly.
Yeah. Oh, I have messed up majorly.
I mean, even with people helping you, you can mess up.
At the end of the day, it's kind of on you how you drive your vehicle. But yeah, between, like I said, Instagram, Facebook, and then just starting to go to Bronco events, some of the larger ones. I went to my first Supercell in 23. And then that same year, they have the Bronco Stampede, which, is a more of a vendor show, but it's Bronco centric. That's actually where I ended up meeting Mark and got my Bronco boyfriend. I met Mark at a Bronco event. And here we are 2 some years later, happily ever after. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. How did you meet with Dave and Kelly?
At that same event, actually. So Mark I was there with a friend of mine who was helping another friend in a booth, and I was just there to kind of hang out, and he knew a bunch of people, and introduced me to Dave and Kelly and Mark and Alan and Rochelle from Diabolical, and a handful of other people that I'd never met before. And we all became really fast friends. I think 2 days into that event, Dave asked me if I wanted to go to Windrock with them, and I was like, yeah, of course I do.
Yep.
So like a month later we were at Windrock. So yeah, that was a wild experience. But again, I was glad I was there with Dave and Kelly and Mark, who had off-roading experience, because I was like, yeah, I've done a bunch of stuff. I've been wheeling for 2 years now. Thought I was ready. I wasn't ready. I will say we came out of Windrock unscathed. Everybody drove in, everybody drove out. There were definitely a handful of moments where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. There's very clear video of me swearing very loud in the woods. But it was a blast.
Yeah. So have you thought about Rebel Rally?
I haven't. I've seen it, and all the series that you did and covering it, and we've known some people through the socials that have done it. I actually 100 million years ago, like back in my Super Freight days, had shipped a vehicle for one of those races, not even knowing what it was about. Like, once I realized what was happening, I was like, oh, if I would have known now, would I New then, vice versa. Then, now. Anyway,
Yeah.
no. I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
It seems intense and advanced, but maybe. I do like to have goals and challenge myself, so.
Mhm. Well, it is definitely a challenge. But like I saw, like Kim and Evie are, sorry, not Eva, Kim and Eva. Don't know why I said Evie, but Kim and Eva. Kim had never or had some off-road experience, but she went and trained with like Melissa Clark with the
Mhm.
Bronco Sport, and then Eva had no experience going into this, and they went off and were a rookie team this year and killed it. So with at least some off-roading experience, you have at least that.
One thing.
So you at
Well,
least have one thing.
yeah, and I look, a lot of us in the Bronco community spent our weekend in front of YouTube, watching RJ, a friend that everyone knows from
Yeah.
social media or real life, Pew Pew Kachu, who also had never raced off road before, built a Bronco from the salvage yard into a race truck, and raced the Baja 1000 solo.
Yeah.
They actually call it an Iron Man finish, which I found was funny because I found that his whole story was very equatable to my actual
Yeah.
Iron Man race. But seeing those guys and girls in that community that came together for his one dream to do this
Yeah.
race, it was amazing and so inspirational and just like really awesome. And for me to sit around and like see these guys doing this stuff and be like, yeah, I know them.
Yeah.
Like, I would consider them friends. If I saw them on the street, I'd say hi. And we see them at Bronco events, and we were out at SEMA, and um, talk to those guys there, and it's just like, yeah, it's amazing what the Bronco community can do for people.
Oh yeah. I hadn't been off-roading. We cover Ford.
Mhm.
We've in Kansas. There's no off-roading here at all. I mean,
None?
ATV trails for the most
Yeah,
part. You don't have. You have dirt bikes. That's the main one is dirt bikes around here. To go off-roading, you have to go to Colorado.
right.
So for us, that wasn't really a pastime here. But we started, covering Bronco, and my dad got one, and he's like, okay, so I'm going to Supercell, and I need to bring you with me because I need you to help me get footage. And so I went up there and I found this amazing community, and I'm just like, this is awesome.
It
I
is.
want to be part of this community. Everyone's so welcoming. I had never been off roading, but like Amanda asked me, when are you going to drive? And then Jackie asked me, when are you going to drive? When are you going to get behind the wheel? And then Melissa, when are you going to drive? And I'm like, this is the first time I've been off-roading. Like I haven't been to a off-rodeo. I've been to nothing. This is my first experience ever with off-roading. Maybe this trip. And I got behind the wheel the third day and I didn't leave it for the rest of the trip.
Awesome.
So,
I love that.
Yeah. But I felt great knowing that we had like Melissa and Brian helping us
Mhm.
and guiding us and doing all of that. So I think finding the right group of people helps going through it. So
Yeah, it's whenever I run into people in my area, even now, like I'm in Middle Tennessee, so just outside of Clarksville, western Nashville. But when I run into people here or, people that are up in Kentucky, I always recommend the Central Kentucky Bronco Group because they, you know, open their arms not only to me, but so many people up there and all their rides, they don't charge for anything. There's education. We have a great time. And everyone's welcome, even if you're not in a Bronco. We have guys that roll with us in 4Runners and Jeeps and Gladiators and all the things. Like,
yeah.
come on, let's go wheeling. It's just it's great, and they're great people. Everyone we've met in the Bronco community is amazing. And a lot of people say it, and I'm very much the same. Like, that vehicle changed my entire life in so many aspects. So
Yeah.
it's silly,
So
but it's super awesome.
it is really awesome. So I always ask this: who or what inspires you?
I feel like I inspire myself a lot, but that's kind of a crappy answer. Um, Definitely my mother. My mom was the third of 9 children, the third girl, followed by 6 boys.
Yeah.
Um, she got done with high school when she was 17 and went and joined the army, because that's what she wanted to do, and went through a lot in her life, including me. I was a lot for a while. I was a mouthy teenager. I didn't figure out until I was about 22 that my mom was not the enemy. I think a lot of us ladies go through that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
she made a career for herself, she made a life for herself, and she still does. Like, my mom and my dad moved out of, the Metro Detroit area up to the woods in Michigan. They have a house on the Muskegon River, a couple acres of land, and, like, really made their dreams come true of what they wanted for retirement, and they're so happy, and she's always, like, baking stuff and doing gardening things and just living her best life, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I want." That's super inspirational to me.
Yeah. So how would you encourage women to get into this community and get more into automotive?
Um, First of all, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that's one of the things, I saw it a lot, not only off-roading, like, locally with the groups that I'm with, but even at, Ladies' Day, which is, the point is that it's only women. So if you have any intimidation or any hesitation, like, we're all there, we're all together.
Yeah.
Um, but I think there's still a lot of hesitation and worry, and people don't ask enough questions. I'm the first one to come over the radio when we're on the trails and say, like, wait, what do I need to be doing here?
Yeah.
Help me out. Do I need to be in here? Do I need to be in, four low? Should I be putting things in a manual? Like, which way can I turn? Um, don't be afraid to get spotted on the trail if you're not sure. Also, get out of your vehicle and go look. Like, go look
Yeah.
at what's ahead of you. But I think overall, automotive car stuff, if it's, wheeling or doing reporting at SEMA or doing an amazing build, whatever, just figure out what you want to do and ask questions to learn
Yeah.
and go for it.
Yep. That that is probably the best way to do it. You know, you can run into some Debbie Downers, but don't let that get you down.
Yeah,
Push through.
absolutely. Especially on the internet. We've all seen it. We see it every day. The keyboard warriors who've got something to say about something. And you just keep trying and keep looking for what you need, and you'll find, the info, the inspiration, the people, to support you in whatever you want to do. If you want to build some huge flashy build that has giant tires and sits in a parking lot, awesome, do it. If you want to build a trail truck and you're ready to beat it up, do that too.
Yeah.
We joke all the time that, well, maybe it's not too much of a joke, but, we all Bronco our own way. And so, like,
Yes.
everybody's going to build different, but everybody's going to have something to say about it.
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining me here and sharing your story.
Thank
It's
you.
been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Let me talk about Bronco stuff. We could probably do this for another 3 more hours and I wouldn't stop talking.
Probably. Probably. Yeah. Well, thank you, and we will see you on our All Terrain Nation and your channel on Bridal Bronco.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining for another week of All Women Driven. Join me next time for another wonderful interview where we're looking into the past to drive women forward in the future of automotive. So, have a wonderful day.